awesome is that, huh? That's pretty awesome. Well, thank you all for being here tonight in person and those online. I think the venue was really how we can do the best for live streaming and questions. I think I do this every year. Well, I know I do this every year, partly just to hear from you, but more importantly, I feel like you're our stakeholders. We're a family together. I operate an enterprise based on your passion, and we work for you all. We support 573 student athletes, 500 staff members, but we're really an athletic program based on your passion, and I can't thank you enough for what you do to support us. At the same time, I feel like every year we ought to have an annual shareholders meeting, and you can ask me any question as long as it's not vulgar. I will answer it. I'm good on social media as well, but this is just a night to kind of review the season, talk about what's upcoming, and then hear from you on what we can do to get better, because I think every single day we strive to get better and make sure that we have the very best athletic program in the country. In the last couple of years, you can see we won back-to-back Directors' Cups. Last year we finished second. If some geese wouldn't have hit our boat, we would have won our third. And it just tells you how great our coaches and student athletes are living up to the standard that is set forth. And I think the standard here is that we want to win national championship. Coach Elliott and his team this past year took us back-to-back national champions. It's an unbelievable year. Kudos to him and his program. But that's the standard that we set out to achieve. I think this year in our last year in the Big 12, our goal was to win every conference championship that we participated in and win as many national championships as we can. That's always the goal. And the standard in our athletic program is we want each and every one of our programs to be a top 5 program in the country. And if you finish top 5, that means you're competing for a national championship and you're touching it. And it's bearing fruit. Next slide, please. You can just tell Big 12 champions of football and Steve and the remarkable job he has done. It is phenomenal. I think in his third year, for us to be in the CFP, had a chance to play for the national championship is phenomenal. The work he's done, the players and the recruiting he's done, the future is really, really bright. So this is just another continuation of the year we had. And then next slide. And then this is followed up by Angie winning the Big 12 championship. So all 3 of those won Big 12 championships. I think we're 3 out of the 4 that we could earn in the fall, and we're heading into the winter sports right now. So Angie and her team won the Big 12 and had a hell of a year. But this is just our national award winners, and there's no need for me to go over each and every one of these, but I wanted you to just see that your athletic program is achieving incredible things. And just a quick shout out to Logan Eggerson for Woman of the Year. That is phenomenal for her to win that. Julian Alford won basically the Heisman of track and field. Maddie Skinner just won the Honda Award. I'll end up reading all of these, but let's just not do that. But it's on the internet. But I wanted you to see that our kids are really performing at the highest level. And I want to give a special shout out to Chris Plonsky. Our women's athletic program is built on her shoulders, along with Coach Conrad and Mrs. Lopiano. We've won back-to-back best women's athletic program in the country, and that's just phenomenal to the history they've built, but we're continuing to do this. And as great as we are on the field, you can see academically, Marnie and her staff do an incredible job, and for this fall, our cumulative GPA to be 3.26. You think about it is unbelievable what they're doing in the classroom, and 72% of our student athletes above a 3.0. That is worthy of applause, but they are student athletes. Sometimes we get lost in the fact that, gosh, they're just watching them perform on the field, but they do an incredible job in the classroom. So kudos to the staff for what they do. This is our Forever Texas program. One of the things that we try to do here is make sure that our kids are known in the community. Our student athletes are involved in every facet of our community. You can just see the amount of hours they spend in our community service hours. It is phenomenal. And the amount of student athletes that are out every single day, going to class, performing on the fields at the same time, they're volunteering in our community and doing great work. And that just strengthens our ties to Austin. And what we're trying to do is make sure we recruit kids here, that they live here, they stay here and become a productive member of our community. And tying into our community service is really, really, the engagement is second to none. Next slide, please. I'm just going to go through, actually I can see right here. Hey, look at that. Modern technology, it's unbelievable. Well, I'm going to go through a bunch of things that are happening within our athletic program, and then we'll really go into open up to Q&As and hear from you, and same with those that are streaming. And by the way, Hattie, who is doing the streaming for us today, is her birthday, so happy birthday, Hattie. But what you have here is what we're going to do here. This project will start this June. We've talked a lot about it. But we needed to address our football practice facility. We have a bubble that was built in the early 2000s. Our practice for our student athletes have to leave the stadium and walk because God is walking in the snow. It's really not. It's about a little under 800 yards to a practice field. It's just not conducive to time management, not conducive to their time. So this place where the current social work building is, they were moving to a new facility. When that building became available, met with President Hartzell and asked if we could participate in this new venture to have that area become part of our new practice facility, and they agreed. And if you can see in the picture over here, you see where the basketball arena is, and you see where the practice facility is. Brand new football indoor facility. You're going to have an outdoor field there. And then one of the things that I'm really proud of too is we're partnering with the Spurs. There's some Spurs here today to give them a home. The Spurs have been phenomenal for us in terms of all the things they do for taking care of Bevo, but more importantly, throughout the last 3 or 4 years I've been here, they've become great partners in everything that we do. We're going to have a space for them as well. But that is the practice facility that will start construction this June moving forward. Next slide, please. We're going to redress a brand new scoreboard this year, so we're putting a new scoreboard in as well. It's time. We have a scoreboard that does not match the ribbon board. It's a mess, to tell you the truth. We've kind of hodgepodged this, and Drew said, hey, we need to fix this. We're going to put a brand new scoreboard in this summer, so you'll see that coming in. And behind that, if you will, you see that scrim where the Longhorn logo is. That thing drives me crazy. We didn't get to finish the project. We are going to completely fill that in, and we're going to backlight the Longhorn. When everyone's driving down the freeway, I want them to see the lit Longhorn. They know where they're at. So that the scrim will be completely filled in with a metal backdrop, and Fernando Lovo's putting in a backlit Longhorn logo right there. You see below where it says Texas, put in a brand new recruiting lounge. We just opened that up right now. Fern and his team have done an amazing job. If you don't know who Fernando Lovo is, he's in charge of all of our facilities and projects. So he has the indoor coming on as well as doing this project now. But he just finished the pictures of the recruiting lounge to the right, and then below and above that you'll see the brand new scoreboard in the back. With the new scoreboard in the back, this thing will be backlit with a whole new metal structure. And I just think when you see that and they walk in the Southeastern Conference, they know they're in DKR Memorial Stadium. It's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited about that. Next slide, please. Well, always one of the things that's always top of my mind is being mindful of your discretionary dollars. We know you're spending discretionary income on us, and we want to create an incredible fan day experience. And Drew and Chuck and his team have done an amazing job with Bevo's Boulevard, the Midway, the concert series. Everything we've done is to try to create a day that you come and you go, gosh, dang it, was that awesome. But part of it is coming into the stadium too and having great food, accessible food, and fan-friendly pricing. And Drew's worked hard. We got Fletcher's Corny Dogs, the original, coming in, which I think will be fantastic. But then you can see the rollback prices that we're having, that we'll be offering throughout the stadium. Next slide, please. Oh, wait, hold on. We are, back up, just saw something. Gosh dang it, my mind was. So we are going to refurbish the Touchdown Club and start to redo all the suite quarters and make sure in the UT Club. Now, mind you that the UT Club is going to go offline, I think, probably after graduation, and we're going to do a complete refurbish in that particular area, not only for suites, but for daily use. We want to make sure we come back. That thing looks spectacular in the fall. So those other projects that Fernando's working on right now. So he's a busy man. But I think pricing for concessions and what we do outside and inside the stadium is when you bring a family of 4, I want to sit there and say, gosh, was it a great fair price? They have an incredible time, and you feel good about your experience on the 40 acres. So I appreciate Drew and his team working with Sodexo to get pricing that we can say, gosh, I know it's today when you walk in to some venues, their prices are really, really high, and we're doing our best to make sure that we provide a quality product. Next slide, please. Redoing all the concessions. So this is going to be the east side. If you saw a little bit of the grab and goes that we have in Moody, we have some on the west side. We're going to redo all the concourses and concessions on the east side now. It's grab and go, more convenient, quicker. You have 100,000 people in the stands. We're trying to create new venues that when you come in, you can just grab a dog. I never knew how that was really going to work, by the way, that crazy scanner. You know, I think I would have just walked out, but there's enough eyes on people that we're not actually, that really doesn't happen. The system works, but to redo the concessions and make sure that you're in your seat, you don't miss a play, and it's quick and fast, and we can offer quality food. So this is going to be going on. I'm not too sure. I think, Fern, you're starting that right after graduation. It'll be ready for the fall as well. Next slide, please. Well, we added a new sport. I think thanks to Eric Baumgartner and Jared Elliott, we started looking at, we know we have to add a sport. One of the things we want to do is really balance out. We have an incredible indoor team. And Jared Elliott came with Sarah, and they had a discussion about how do we improve our indoor volleyball program. At the same time, a lot of our kids wanted to play beach. So our first actual beach season will be next year, but they're going to play a abbreviated schedule this spring. But we have a brand new locker room. It's under construction, and it'll be ready for next year. Again, another project that Fernando and his team are working on, but just wanted you to see that. So we're constantly evolving and improving our facilities for our student athletes, and I can't thank you enough for that. Next slide, please. This is going to be awesome, by the way. When we come to baseball and we look at the league we're going into, trying to improve the game day experience out there, there's Occupy Left Field. They do an amazing job. And we start to figure out what we're doing across the board. They get great kudos. We took the outfield fence on the left field wall, and you can see that. And they actually came up with this. This is Drew's concept to come up and put a wire mesh. It's not a wire mesh, but you're not going to run into wire. But we took the wall out and put a taut see-through, like basically it's just cloth, rope. Looks really awesome. So we're going to have behind that, Yetis and the partners with Yeti are going to put in a place people can come in, watch the game from that angle, enjoy the atmosphere. Looking at if that's another way to improve the game day experience at baseball, knowing that we have a year to really look at different ways that we can improve Dish Falk. But the road behind it does not allow us to build above and beyond that because that road is where the garage goes. So it's hard to put outfield seating, but can we do something else that create an incredible environment? So that's going to go in this spring. I can't wait to see it, actually. It's going to be awesome. Next slide, please. And this is really to our lettermen. I do want to apologize. In all this construction, the Letterman's Lounge was gone away for 3 or 4 years. And I know it's been a big concern for our lettermen to gather before football games. And with Ricky Brown's help and working with Drew and his team and Fernando, on the 6th floor of the UT Club, the 7th floor is where the restaurant is. The 6th floor, we're going to convert that and make that Tea Association office and a game day club for our lettermen. They had a place on the west side, and that is no longer there through the construction, but I apologize for the delay. But this fall, we're going to have a great place for all our lettermen to gather before games and throughout the year, and anytime they want to use space. They're the reason why we're here. And we want to make sure they have a space that they can go, wow, they can come back and tell stories of how great they were back in the day, and that's going to be that. Next slide, please.
You could say Texas lives on the 40 acres, or in Austin, or even in the United States. But Longhorns know Texas is a lot bigger than that. Texas is a culture. It's a state of mind. It's a global force. Because Texas lives deep in the hearts of anyone who's ever worn the burnt orange and white. It lives in the souls of Longhorn Nation everywhere. And definitely rent-free in the heads of our opponents. Now that we're joining the SEC, reigniting old rivalries and forging new ones, Where Texas lives just got even bigger.
Heisman Trophy winner Earl Campbell.
Ricky Williams has the record.
Greatness lives here. Legends live
Texas
here.
has defeated Southern California to win the national championship.
Champions live here. History, tradition, respect, and character all live here. Because when you're a Longhorn, no matter where you are or how far you go, Texas always lives here. Hook 'em.
Yeah, baby. That's a kickoff video to our new campaign this year. Texas Lives Here, and obviously tonight that's going to drop in the mail on your email, and the mail will go out tonight for renewals. And most important, I can thank you for your support and your renewal of this endeavor. I think for us to go to the Southeastern Conference, I can't tell you how excited I am. But we've been telling everybody we're going to stay where our feet are, and our feet are in the Big 12 until July 1. But we know the anticipation of going to the Southeastern Conference is coming. And we wanted to let everybody know that Texas lives there. In 1903, Texas was a member of the Southern Collegiate Athletics Conference, the precursor to the SEC. That was where we were at one time, and we're just going home. And for us to be playing the schools we're going to be playing, it's going to be an exciting time. I cannot wait to renew old rivalries, yet to put ourselves in the footprint. So you look at the schedule we have for us to have Georgia, Mississippi State, Florida, Kentucky at home, for us to go to Arkansas, Aggieville is going to be great, and Vanderbilt, and then the Michigan game. We are always going to play the very best. We're going to schedule the very best because we feel our brand deserves that. You deserve that. And the opportunity to go to the Southeastern Conference is going to be great, and we're super, super excited about that. But tonight is the kickoff of the schedule and the renewal component of that, and we can talk a little bit more about that in a minute. If you go one slide back just for a moment, if it's possible. You probably can't because it's a full video. But what I really love about our marketing team, they try everything. I got blown up on the orange smoke, and Drew goes, "What are you doing there?" And I'm a firm believer in R&D, rip off and duplicate. I'll go to venues and I'll see what other people do and say, "Can we take that and do it at our own place?" And Drew will come back and say, "I saw something." And then we went somewhere else. A lot of the people say, "God, that orange smoke is crazy. It hurts my eyes." So I was talking to a bunch of students the other day, go, "Should we not have that anymore?" No, we got to have that. But as you get farther up into the suites, like, that is god-awful. I get it. But what I love about it is that we're constantly trying new things, constantly looking and reinventing how we get a great game day environment. And I think that you can look at our in-game this year with whether it be the drone shows, the smoke, the fireworks, everything that we're trying to do is just try to create an incredible game. And I just remember we were playing the Wyoming game. We were struggling a little bit. All of a sudden, that drone show came up, the orange smoke came up, and boom, the electricity in that building was unbelievable. And to see Xavier go down and score that touchdown, I looked over at Drew and said, "I think you might hit on something." And I just appreciate our marketing team for constantly pushing the envelope and everything that we do. Next slide, please. So one of the things we talk about here, this is really mainly for how we allocate tickets and what tickets we receive on the road and how you do that. And the biggest way to do that is to be a Longhorn Foundation member. At the same time, when you look at away tickets, we're going to play Michigan. They only give us 4,000 tickets on the road. We go to Aggieville, they give us 5,000. So you start to look at how we try to figure out, allocate those, and we try to just go on our loyalty points on Longhorn Foundation. Andrew and his team do an amazing job raising money for our student athletes and for our coaches and for our staff. And for that, I can't thank them and you all for your continued support. But with such a limited number of tickets, this is the avenues that we'll move forward, and we can discuss any questions you have on that. But I think about a recap of 31,000 tickets. So what was even more crazy to me is we had a massive, at the Big 12 Championship, I think they gave us 9,000 tickets. That's all we received. So you start to look at what we can do to continue to improve that. We're working with our partners to make sure that we get more and more tickets because we know that Longhorn Nation travels like there's second to none. But you can look at our allotment for the Sugar Bowl. We had 13,000 tickets out of 64,000 seats. So this is the system we use. So when someone asks me, how come I didn't receive a ticket, I get it. But we're working with a really, really narrow number of tickets. Next slide, please. This is one of the things I want you to look at closely. Someone said to me, we're going to go to the Southeastern Conference. You're just going to just jack the prices up. Look at the column to the right or to the left, and look to the column to the right. We've reduced ticket prices on the average game price. We added a game, and I get that, but you start to look at it on a game-by-game price. We're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we make the tickets affordable. One of the things I looked to our team, and Rob Novak, our CFO, is one of the best in the country, not one of the best in the country. He does an amazing job, and we sat down and had a discussion, and Rob came and said, hey, I think we got this. And it's a tribute to the team that puts this together, but one of the things I was really focused our team on, and Corbett and Drew sat down and we looked at our price and said, let's make sure that when people go to another conference, they just look and say, well, let's jack the prices up, here we go. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to pack the house with loyal fans, trying to pack the house with fans that want to be there and cheer the Longhorns on and make it price. So I'm really proud of the team, proud of our group for doing this, but wanted you to know that that was important to me, and the pricing structure was not something that we were going to go out and say, hey, let's do a pass-through. We're going to make it work with what we do, because I firmly believe we'll be 100% renewed, and we'll go into the SEC right-minded. So appreciate the team's work on this. Next slide. This is just the renewal dates. So you know the drop ticket today is the 14th, is when it dropped, the day before the Valentine's. And they're due late April, and then we'll start to clean up as you go through. And this is mainly for anyone online. You guys can read that. I don't need to go through that. But at the far end, you'll look down at that new logo. We're going to celebrate 100 years of DKR this year. You know, that was built 100 years ago as a World War I memorial. And for us to celebrate 100 years of that building, and a lot of that infrastructure is still in place, it is going to be an awesome time to celebrate our great stadium. And I'm looking forward to that celebration, but this year will be the 100th year of DKR Memorial Stadium, and I'm just thankful that I get an opportunity to serve you, but more importantly, what a way for us to tribute and have an incredible celebration this year. So that logo will be on the field, it'll be on the helmet, and we're going to do the team's going to really work hard. I'm excited for you to see how we roll out throughout the year and celebrate DKR. Next slide, please. Well, one of the things I looked at, I wanted to make sure that we got tickets into our fans and not into brokers. And the idea is we have 4,102 tickets that we're reclaiming back and going to give them back to our fans. When you look at the pricing of tickets that go on the secondary market, they're outrageous, and I hear about them all the time. I'd rather get these tickets into you directly, and that you and your families can enjoy coming to a game and not have to go to a secondary market to buy a ticket and maybe only get one game a year because you couldn't afford it. So this is why we're doing this. It's not here to punish anybody. I'm trying to get tickets into our fans and say thank you for supporting us. I understand the broker business. I'm not mad at them for what they do, but at the end of the day, I need to make sure that we get tickets into our fan base. So you'll see right now that we have a waiting list of 3,577 people waiting for tickets. And we just have made available 4,102. So hopefully we're doing our part to get more tickets into our fan base. So that's why I'm doing this. People that got a letter today was not to get anybody mad, but I got a guy that said, sir, can you please reconsider? I've already sold the 100 tickets I have in my account. And I said, sir, I'm not your personal business person. I appreciate what you've done, but those tickets belong to the University of Texas, and we wanted those to go to our fans. Needless to say, he's not really happy with me right now, but hopefully he understands what we're doing. So that's what we're doing right now. Next slide, please. Some parking changes. Whew. I tell you, my Twitter gets blown up on the parking situation, and I know that they've worked constantly to try to figure this out. One of the things I always look at is we don't have a lot of surface lots around our stadium, so we have a lot of parking garages. And one of the things that we did last year, we looked at, is we had a lot of these parking garages here all had the same pass. So we're going to try to break those up and have a different pass for each garage, because people were trying to get to the closest garage, and it created a problem. And we had a lot of issues within our parking garages. And unfortunately, there's not I don't have a quick fix to say, hey, when you get in a garage, it takes time to get out of a garage. But we're trying to figure out a way to make sure that we have better better street lots and better traffic pattern. And Fernando and Fern and our police department are working hard on that. But when you get this, you'll understand that unlike most stadiums where we're located, we don't have a lot of surface lots. I think we had just a few behind the library. So this is really what we're working with. The new plan will be detailed out. You'll see it. If you have any questions, you feel free to call me, but hopefully you'll like the new plan moving forward. Next slide, please. Well, this area here, and it's really not the entire area, but there's about 80 spots, mainly from where that little I was going to go down here, and you can see it up top. It's really not how it goes. But you see that little, where it says San Jack, where the J is? More where the J is up forward. Those parking spots are going to actually go away this year as we build, and we have to, because that's where the new indoor is going to go, and it's going to be part of our construction site. When we come back to the new practice facility, we have the indoor here, and the football field right next to it, and below that, we're going to have a two-decker parking garage, about 500 spaces below the practice field, which will be grass, but it's going to be awesome. So we'll pick up a bunch of spaces, but we're going to be missing about 80 cars. Is that right, Fern? Yes, for 80 cars from that spot. So just so you know, it's really where the J is moving forward. I apologize for that. When I looked at that, I did I wanted you to see that. And here's where the parking garages. I'm not too sure that's exactly how the parking passes are going to look, but what we did is we had one parking pass for all three garages. So everyone was just trying to get to there. Well, you're going to get this color, and this color, and that should ease congestion moving out. And that's a nuance we made this year. Next slide, please. Yes, NIL. The landscape of college athletics has changed dramatically. When I was a student athlete years ago, when I signed my letter of intent, at the bottom of it said, because you're getting a scholarship, the university has the rights to your name, image, and likeness. And that was for the opportunity to get a scholarship. That's really before the advent and the proliferation of television, and with a new influx of broadcasting rights and video games and all the things that happened. It's a time to make a change in how we not necessarily give back money to our student athletes, but how the scholarship is one piece, has never changed forever. Is there ways that we can do name, image, and likeness, that kids can take their name, image, and likeness, kind of like Bijan. When Bijan was here, he had Bijan Mustard. Quinn has a lot of opportunities. Those are opportunities because they're student athletes at the University of Texas, and they're great. And we leveraged our who we are with incredible partners to give our student athletes great opportunities. And at this moment, the Texas One Fund and what they do for us is second to none. I can't tell you how much I need you to support that organization, because recruiting the very best kids, they're going to look at us and say, hey, how do we do that? And the Texas One Fund plays a huge role in creating NIL opportunities for our student athletes, as do WME, a new partner that we're engaged in, to bring them in and help marketing new opportunities for our student athletes. And these are great partners of ours, but I will tell you that the Texas One Fund and WME are the two entities that we're looking to make sure that they are really involved with our student athletes and the opportunities that they have. And it's been great. And leverage, Open Doors, Altius, and Learfield. And Learfield's a major partner. I mean, they're obviously they're probably our greatest partner in what they do with us. And so they're all helping this landscape, but I share that with you. We can talk more when it goes to Q&A, but these are the partners we've engaged in with our NIL space. Next slide, please.
Once you go to this university, to me, you join a family. I might not know that family member that's out there that's an engineer, but if they put them horns up, it's just somebody else to help, you know.
Really, it's about the greatness of the University of Texas. Those that became before us and how great they were, I am now immortalized with them. And it's the group behind them that's coming up that has a chance to be a part of that Hall of Fame. When you recognize that and you go into that Hall of Honor and you pull out all the greats and you realize, oh my God, these people went to Texas.
Durant. Oh! Roger Clemens.
Ricky Williams.
Chad Osterman.
DJ Ford.
The winning tradition, the University of Texas, shall not be entrusted to the timid nor the weak, but to those that represent the burnt orange and white. The idea of what starts here changes the world. It is not an idea, it is fact. And each and every one of you that went to the University of Texas, you know the impact it had on your life.
Don't think I've seen too many teams that are better than this one.
Campbell running 15, 10, 5, he scores.
Earl Campbell of the University of Texas.
Ricky Williams has the record. Touchdown for the Longhorns.
I've got to be the happiest guy in America tonight.
Pitch to the 5. Young. Touchdown, Texas. Touchdown, Vince Young.
It's not that important what you've done. What's important is what you're gonna do.
It's coming. You'll notice, by the way, I always ask McConaughey why he does it this way. And he looks at me and goes, because I always want to know where I live. I'm a Longhorn. I want to remind myself. I go, it's supposed to be this way. He goes, no, I do it this way. So every time I look down, I know who I'm representing and where I went to school. I find that interesting that he does that. So anyone has any questions, that's why I always wonder why he does that. But Texas lives here, and the Southeastern Conference is where we're moving. And the new campaign, I think you can see the schools we're going to be participating in. And I think what I love about this map is it's regional based. This is regional based. We're in a place that the brands we're going to get to play, who we're going to be a part of, it makes sense. We're not flying from coast to coast. We're not going up and down. We're in a region that makes sense to us in the South and the teams that we get to play. So this is, I can't thank Chairman Eltife and President Hartzell enough for their leadership. They were so instrumental in this move and everything that we do. I always tell them that there's not much light goes between me and the two of them and every decision we make. And for them to believe in the vision, to set forth the path that we could go to accomplish something like we've done. And obviously we'll start to celebrate that this summer, but I don't want to go a moment unnoticed that the two of them are critical in our success. And I always say this, a united Texas is a reckoning. And you can see when athletic programs aren't united, when institutions aren't rowing the same boat. And I say that when I was here, when I first got here, I was the fourth AD in 10 years. We had 4 other presidents, 3 other chancellors. That is not stability. And having the opportunity to serve you and serve this institution has been my greatest honor. But I think one of the things that I look at too is who we get to work for and who we get to serve. And it's always the University of Texas. And we know that the winning traditions of the University of Texas are not entrusted to the timid nor the weak. But sometimes people can't understand that. And to have leadership that understands that and we're all rowing in the same direction, I'm super excited about this opportunity coming forward. Next slide, please. So that we're going to have the actual celebration. Here it is. Commissioner Sankey, all the brass from the Southeastern Conference are going to be here. More information will come, but we are going to absolutely blow this out. We're meeting on Tuesday to finalize the plans, but I am super excited. June 30th, and they say, why do you want to wait till the 1st? Like, oh, we can't wait. It's like Christmas Eve, baby. Right? Remember when you were a little kid, you always snuck down and see who was there, or did you kind of convince your parents to open up one present and you just roped them up all? But this is going to be really exciting. So I'm excited about that opportunity, and you're going to see more information, but we're hoping that the Longhorn Nation shows up in droves, because for us, it's the first time an opportunity to showcase who we are as an institution, who we're joining, and having the brass of the Southeastern Conference here that day is going to be really phenomenal. It's going to be a true celebration of our great institution. Next slide, please. One of the questions that have asked me is what happens to Longhorn Network? And kudos to Chris Plonsky and DeLost Dodds. They did an amazing job of giving this opportunity to have the Longhorn Network. And to our partners at LHN, they were awesome. I mean, gosh, they did an amazing job covering our sports. But one of the things that we looked at when we went into the Southeastern Conference is we have to fold LHN into the SEC network. At the same time, we own our catalog for the last 13, 14 years of everything that's ever been on the Longhorn Network. And Drew and his team have come up with an amazing idea of trying to figure out if putting that on like a Netflix or a box-to-box, or haven't quite figured out all those technical terms. But basically it's going to live, we're going to create a Longhorn Network for my words, I'm just going to say a YouTube channel where we're going to have shoulder program around games. We're going to still do a lot of things that we're going to do, and we're also going to have all our great moments that we're on Longhorn Network be a part of that. So that'll be rolling out in early June. Really excited about this. Excited to partner with them, and IMG will still be a great partner with us, and that'll be part of their platform as well. But when you start to see what possibilities are, it's going to be incredible. And we're just in the early stages of rolling this out. So keep an eye out for that. And just we're going to keep the name Longhorn Network. We're going to move forward with that. But as you know, currently as it is today, it will be rolling over to the Southeastern Conference Network July 1. Next slide, please. One of the things I'm really excited about, this probably doesn't make any sense to you, but the far right, this is really a cool project that we're going to partner with Moody and the Moody students, is we have to produce every one of our games at home to put either on the SEC network or any of the other ESPN platforms. The great thing is we get to partner with Moody and have our students be a part of that. So where the OT room was, we created a brand new studio to produce all those games and all the video boards as well. The great thing is that you're going to be a student at Moody and you get to come in and say, I produced a game. That what I learned in the classroom was just not theoretical. I got a degree from the University of Texas, and this is what I did with my degree, and they're going to be an integral part of putting all the games on those platforms. How cool is that? And that project is almost complete, and it'll be phenomenal this fall, and that's I can't wait to see that. Now, sometimes you'll be watching a game and you'll see if there was a home run or not, and the camera missed it. It's okay. It's our kids doing it. Did you see that play? I did not. However, don't email me or blast me on the deal, but this is one of those really cool moments in time where we get to partner with our own students at a Moody College, and this is going to be something really special moving forward. Next slide, please. Okay, we'll go Q&A on the ones that are here. There's a bunch populated, and then you can ask any question that we have. When will we know SEC schedules for all sports? You just saw the football schedule. They'll actually come out in earnest. Probably they'll start rolling out in July, as we know, because each sport they want to have a cool drop date for soccer. They want to have a cool drop date for basketball. And every sport wants to have the same opportunities. So we'll do that. But the football schedule's out, as you know, and then we'll start to roll those out. But we should have them all in a timely fashion. But be patient, if you will. Next slide. Are we going to play A&M every year? That is the goal. That is the goal. I know we're playing this year at our place, and they'll come back the following year. We know that that important for us to play that rivalry. For those that are a little older, Arkansas is a major rivalry as well, and those that lived through the 60s and 70s, for Coach Broyles and Darrell Royal to retire on the same day in 1976 in our stadium is awesome. And to replay those two, so that game will be an annual game. Obviously, this year it's going to be played on Saturday. My goal is that we move that game back to Thursday. But obviously, it was just the first year of trying to get in. We have 8 games scheduled right now. We're working on going to a 9-game schedule, but we have a ways to go that. So I would say this year we have an 8-game schedule. The following year we have another 8-game schedule. Then we'll look at going into a 9-game conference schedule. So that's that. Next slide, please. Yeah. The goal is to put grass in DKR in 26. And let me tell you why that date. That's when the indoor will be done in April of 26, and the new grass practice field there. That way, the proximity to that, we can go back and forth, and then the fall of 26 is to have grass in DKR. Part of that is where our strength and conditioning, everyone's on that field constantly. We have the band on there, we have our football team on there, we have everyone on that field, and we use it for graduations, yet we use it for all our teams to work out on. On grass, when you put grass in, you got to really limit your use. When I was at a previous institution up north, we were probably on the field maybe 12 times a year outside of a game. So you really, really limit your use on that stadium. And having the band practice there, it's amazing how, because the band, when they're practicing, they stay in one spot. Sometimes they could do more damage than our football team playing around because they're constantly in one area. The band is critical for us, and one of the things we're looking at is with the indoor, the bubble or the current indoor, we have places for them to practice, and then we could go to grass as well. As far as baseball, one of the things we're looking at, we just put that down. I'd like to put grass in baseball. One of the things we're looking at is, believe it or not, that overhang, the shadow is so deep in that. The growing season is pretty interesting. And when they built that, they put, I think, AstroTurf and grass in the outfield, but we've looked at ways that we can do that at some point in time. It's not on the immediate docket, but we know that we're going to have to address that in the coming years. But grass and DKR is on the immediate docket. Adding sports, one of the things I get constantly is, why don't we have men's wrestling? Why don't we have men's soccer? One of the things you have to look at is our student body is about 62% women. Our athletic program has to match what our student body is. That's one of the prongs. We'll never be able to add another men's sport. Down the road, Sarah and her team are looking at what other sports we can add on the women's side, but unfortunately, the landscape of colleges and the student body enrollment, if we were 75% male, you could probably add more men's teams, but where we're at right now, that's just not a possibility moving forward. Next slide. Yeah, we're on docket to win it this year, all God willing. To knock off Stanford as the best athletic program in the country, the 2 years that we did. I remember a reporter came and called me and said, yeah, he tweeted out, "You're lucky to win." It was COVID. And the next year we won it again. I said, were we lucky this time? The third year we lost in a rowing contest to Stanford, and I think they just released some geese that hit our boat, or we would have won that for the third time. So we're farther along this year than we were last year. I'm excited. We have a lot of athletics competition to play, but we're in really good shape, and that's just a tribute to our coaches and our student athletes. Next slide, please. We looked a little bit at the expansion of baseball in terms of what we can and cannot do. I think from a baseball perspective, I want to wait and see how the SEC looks like. Someone says, boy, we have great crowds on a weekend, but we have Tuesday games. And what you don't want to do is overexpand a stadium for one-off games. You want to make sure that when you expand your stadium, that it's full every single game. So we're looking at different ways to create different environments around Dish Falk for a moment, and when that comes to life, we will see if expansion going down the third base side makes sense. But but there's not an ability to put outfield seating around the stadium just because of the roads and how we're boxed in. But there's other things that we can look at. McCombs Field, both stadiums will be sold out on, right now, but they're sold out, and then we're looking at, they come every single game. And one of the things we have to do a better job is making sure that our fans come every game. There's ways that we're looking at McCombs Field and where we can expand. We've done some seating in the outfield this year because they have the room. But when you go to a game this year, you're going to see housing is starting to move graduate housing is moving all the way around the facilities of softball. They'll start construction on a new part of it this coming spring as well. So it's going to be pretty tight, but we know we have to address that at some point in time. Next slide. Yeah, I mean, I would love, well, one, on multiple weekends, we have to do a better job on the food service, and that's on me. And for that, I apologize. We've talked about it, so we have to figure out that, is it Kamal Street or the street between softball and it's real narrow. We're looking at, do we just shut that down and make that basically a party truck, kind of like take a miniature Beavers Boulevard and put it right there. So there's some things we're doing. We also got to enhance the concessions. Mikey White, gosh, I don't know if you saw this past weekend, he went to LA and that was pretty unbelievable. 16 nada out of that. It was pretty good. But they have Murderers Row this weekend. They're going to Clearwater. It's going to be a hell of a tournament. But we're well aware of these, and I know our team is going to make some strides this year to improve that. Next slide, please. Yes, UT Club. I think one of the things we're looking at is the UT Club continue to serve staff, faculty members after the mentioned renovation. Absolutely. One of the things we're doing is just refreshing that area. We have a new partner, excuse me, and I think one of the things we're looking at is we got to really make that space and the food and everything that goes on there up to par to the standards that we have. And I think our members at UT Club deserve that. And you know, our partners there did an amazing job. But we're just looking to increase it, make it better, and look at that. That space needs to be something when we walk in and go, that smells, eats, and tastes like Texas. First class. Next slide. Well, that's a hard one for me a little bit, because at the end of the day, I think there are some tours that can move forward. I think something that we had were great. At the same time, I had to look at and weigh tours and fan services job responsibilities at all times. And one of the things I look at, their job as a fan service is to create an incredible game day environment. And I really want them to focus on that. That's a focus for me constantly. When you think I'm on social media constantly, I'll be watching, listening, because I want to make sure that we're treating our customers great. So if that's something that was really a want and a massive need, I would really address that. But I haven't had a lot of people saying, hey, I'd like to do this again. And it's one of those things that when we had it, it was detracting from our opportunities to give a better game day environment and a better game day experience. But something we can look at. Next slide. That won't happen. Yeah, no. That's pretty funny. I will say this, is that, I grew up in a children's home, and one of the things that I always remember was I would get 5 pair of pants, 5 shirts, and 2 pair of shoes at the beginning of the year. I get another outfit at Thanksgiving, get another outfit at Christmas, and an outfit at Easter. And then by the summertime, I've outgrown all those. So the following year, they would give me 5 new pair of pants, but then they would make them way too big, and then I would just roll them up. And then they had the white line that continued to grow as my growth spurts. But the idea is when I got to the cattle guard, they looked right at me and they go, you know what? The first thing people notice is how you look. We get judged for everything. But make sure when they look at you, they're going to look at you and say, boy, that's a sharp-dressed guy. He didn't come from the ranch. And that's always stuck with me. So when I get dressed up, part of that is I'm representing you. every day. I represent the University of Texas, a job that I hold dearly to my heart, but I always remember that lesson. So anyway, that'll never happen. But sometimes I'll go to baseball games in shorts and people go, what the hell happened to you? So I get it. Next slide. Okay. There's some online, or there's anyone have anything that you'd like me to add or topics on your mind? You can shout from your seat and I'll listen. If not, there's a microphone right there. Everything good? Yes, sir?
Got several questions.
Go ahead.
Do you have to separate NIL from the Longhorn Foundation because if we get the same loyalty points to contribute to Texas One Fund as if we were contributing to Longhorn Foundation? I think the Texas One Fund might grow really fast.
Great question. The idea is, can we combine the two? And currently, that is not allowed by the NC2A, and I get that. And there's a reason of it's just a new landscape. Things are constantly changing. I would prefer that the question is, could they donate to the Texas One Fund and they get loyalty points? That was our original thought, but that we were told that we could not do that. But eventually, I think we'll morph into something like that. In the meantime, Texas One Fund has become a dear partner, and they have a 501c3, and they have a way that you can get a write-off, and I get that, but not loyalty points. Andrew Hamer said if we could get that, it would be mucho bueno for everybody. I get it, but unfortunately, it's not there yet.
Second one is, now we're entering the SEC for softball. That's a really serious softball conference. If we can't build a new stadium, can we upgrade the existing stadium where like seats instead of benches and things like that to make it a nicer stadium?
You know, one of the things we did, we spent about almost $15 million on a renovation for softball in terms of players, locker room, and the things that they need. And I think what you're addressing is next on the dock is what do we do with that stadium? That stadium has served us well. And Mikey White obviously has been to Oklahoma City, and he's done an amazing job with our softball program. But that's something, again, down the road, I think we'll look at that. It's one of the things I have to look at is the space there and how we do that. There is actually, when they built that, there's actually plans to add a second deck on that. But when you start to look at what we go in, and I'd like to cover that and do some things differently, but it's definitely, if I can count on you to give me a check enough to build it, I'd do it tomorrow. But, you know, that's going to be about a $15 to $20 million project, maybe more. But it's definitely a need and understand that it's not something I'm shying away from. We're just doing, I got to finish one thing at a time, sir.
Okay. Before I get to my question, I just want to say how much I appreciate you even holding an event like this. And just in the time that you've been here, there's been a kind of an inculcation of a culture of just humility and openness and respect that wasn't, I don't think, always here before you got here. And to this day, I think still exists in some teams I like outside of college athletics. So I just want to say thank you for everything you've done in terms of changing the culture here.
Thank you.
It's actually good that softball's already been brought up. As far as that goes, one of the things I think y'all did a really good job on last season, for those of us who are season ticket holders for both softball and baseball, I think you did a really good job staggering the start times so that we could actually make it to both games almost every day. I've noticed looking out just on this season, just kind of taking a preliminary look at the early part of the schedule, February 23rd, 25th, March 1st, and I haven't gone through further. It looks like that's not going to be quite the same case this year. So two-part question. A, is there any wiggle room on some of that stuff for this current season? And B, more important than that, moving forward, once we get to the SEC, is there any chance, since we're going to have to redo schedules for everyone anyways because there's new teams coming in, that we could try to set things up where we actually play the same team in the same weekend for both sports?
The first question first. Thank you for honoring our staff. I think that they work really, really hard to create an incredible environment that is respectful of you and everyone in the room. Every once in a while, we have to find you in a different seat because you're causing mayhem. So we just got to move you around. Is what's crazy. But your passion is undeniable. Yes, there's a lot of wiggle room in moving games, but one of the things you do is when you get a schedule, then we get it, and then usually what ends up happening is CP comes in and says, well, we got Longhorn Network here, and they start to move them around. Sometimes you're going to have some games that are head-to-head. We try to do everything we can to avoid that. But that question is definitely on top of our mind. And also, I prefer to have them staggered because I don't have enough parking sometimes. It creates a real nightmare. And then if you throw a tennis match in there, it's crazy. So we know that, and our team is well aware of that, and they're working through that. The weekends in question are also on our mind as well. It's not as easy to say we're going to have an A&M weekend or we're going to have an Arkansas weekend. It's one of those things that it all depends on how the schedule's laid out. That's actually a unique concept. Would we travel both teams and we're going to go? It just is not. Schedules are different how they do it, but it would be pretty unique to do something like that. I haven't really thought of that.
Last season, just coincidentally, Tech was in town for both sports in the same week, and I thought that was kind of where I got the idea from it, but I thought it was cool when we did it that, and if we could, do it moving forward.
Agree. Understand what you're saying.
Hello. Mr. DeConnie, thank you for this event and for Texas Athletics for holding this. I really appreciate this community engagement. And I have a very important question I hope you will answer. Mr. DeConnie, can you explain why Texas Athletics is pushing forward with plans to demolish a building listed on the National Registry for Historic Places, disregarding objections from the community and the cultural value it holds for the state of Texas and UT Austin? University Junior High was opened the same year this building was opened as well. I encourage you to visit our website, savethepastforthefuture.com.
I really couldn't understand a word you said. I do apologize.
I'm happy to repeat my question. Mr. Del Conte, can you explain why Texas Athletics is pushing forward with plans to demolish a building listed on the National Register of Historic Places, disregarding objections from the community and the cultural value it holds for the state of Texas and UT Austin? University Junior High was opened the same year as the building we are in right now. I encourage you to visit our website, savethepastforthefuture.com.
I understand the question now. We're talking about this current social work building, right? And I think one of the things we looked at is I knew social work was moving to a new location. That building, as old as that building is, we went through every iteration, met with staff, faculty, state, and we were told that building it served its use in terms of actual structure, and that's where the indoor was. But we did cross every T and dot every I. There's some things that we are going to preserve in that building, and we're going to make sure that we recognize them on the new building as well. But I understand your consternation about that and not being disrespectful. But I promise you there would not be a thing that we would not do without honoring the past and making sure that we fulfill our future obligations.
Thank you. I really appreciate your answer. I just want to add, lastly, I would just recommend that you take one more look across the street at the building, or at the space across the street, already a grass field that's used by the lacrosse team. We have amazing architecture students here that we're capable of designing what we need to. We can use that space and preserve the building. I just hope that we reconsider that choice. That building is really important to our history as a university and as a state. And to demolish that for a second facility is really discouraging. I just hope that y'all reconsider. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Conte. My name is Michael. I'm actually running for at-large graduate student representative with the UT student government body. I'm running uncontested, so I'm going to win. But
you're guaranteed to win, my man?
As long as I don't forget to vote for myself.
I love that.
Okay. And I just wanted to ask, I always wanted to be down here in Texas, and I finally made it. For grad school, I'm an architecture student as well. I would actually love to maybe do an apprenticeship with Fernando maybe this summer. But I was going to ask, is there any ways that things are going to be changing how students receive tickets?
Yep, and two things I want to just address a little bit about social work. I think no one, you don't know who I am, but my background, I think one of the things that we're looking at too is that the athletic department has committed a gift of $10 million to the School of Social Work to help fight systemic homelessness. It starts early. It starts from little kids. You become a foster kid, you become a parent of the system, and all of a sudden you're 18 years old, and what's next? And you look at how we serve society, and we partner with Alan Cole to try to figure out a program that we can sit and work deeply to try to figure out that the system that we currently know today is not working. And can we be part of that solution? So one of the things we looked at is we wanted to create an endowment to go out and start to get the very best minds to look at how we can deal with the homelessness that when you look and say, God, they're 30, 40 years old, we need to start a lot younger than that. Because when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you become institutionalized. And all of a sudden you go through a system and then you turn 18 years old and you're in a position where who's there for you? And if opportunities aren't there, things can happen. They spiral out of control. So I'm really proud of Alan Cole, Dean Cole, and we're going to be part of that partnership. So I know it may not be saving a building, but at the end of the day, I think us being involved with the school on a visceral level is going to be really, really fantastic. As far as students go, say we have a student section around about, say, 20,000 or a little under that. It's a big ticket. As you buy a big ticket, we're 52,000 students. I have a really section of about 22,000, so it's just a big ticket. I think Fern and his staff and Nellie worked really, really hard at creating a fair way for big tickets to come. They get in, they have a whole section. One of the things that we have, say it's 15,000 the lower bowl, we have another 4,000 or 5,000 tickets up top. No one goes up there. There is like wildebeest, you know. And by the way, you're a grad student, so you're coming in here on taking care of your business, hanging out. We have 20,000 undergraduates that are over on West Campus having a mucho bueno time. And if the game's at 6, they get over at 5:47. And they bunch the gate, and I'm out there, I'm like, what happened? And Sean Eichhorst last year was he was like the guy from Animal House. He just got ran over, you know what I mean? I go, what happened to him? So if you have any suggestions on how to do it better, but one of the things we try to do, I think this year's system was better, and we're constantly tweaking it. So my door's always open. You can come in and say, hey, this didn't work for me or not, but every single game I'll text Drew. I go, man, there's an empty seat, or text Corbin, what's going on up top? That's the student section. But then I'll look down, the fire marshal's like blowing a whistle. You know, or when someone goes to use the restroom, they can't get back in because it's so packed and their mom's calling me. So it's crazy. So we have plenty of seats for you, my man. You just may have to, if you don't get there early, up top. Spread the word, all right?
Yes, sir. Hey, I was just going to ask, this is partly about scheduling. Some of the talking heads in the sports media have been saying that Texas is not going to play any Big 12 schools in the foreseeable future. Don't know if that's true or not, especially in men's basketball. We know that Big 12 is a very good conference. And the last question I want to ask is, are you an evil genius scheduling Georgia to come here the same weekend of F1 just to piss off their fans trying to find a hotel?
Well, I was not behind that because I'm like, holy smokes. Well, let me back up. Big 12 for a moment. I think one of the things we looked at is if we're at a nine-game schedule, you have 3 non-conference games. One of the things you look at in a current 8-game schedule for a moment, we get 4 games at home. We play this year, we get 4 games at home. We play OU in Dallas, and then we have 3 on the road. The following year, it's flipped. Does that make sense? So now I got 3 at home, OU in Dallas, and I'm on the road 4 times. We need to get 6 to 7, we need about 7 home games a year. We're playing Michigan, we're playing Ohio State. We're going to look at how do we do those. If we kept if we went to a 9-game schedule, I'd have 4 at home, 4 on the road. Then it's a little easier to start to look at how your non-conference schedule is. Well, if we stay at an 8-game schedule, I'm going to need to schedule all those games at home. You're my constituent. As much as I love another conference or say they're my state foe, if they want to come play here in Texas, I'm all in. But I'm not too sure yet how we can do a home and home until I know how that balances out. As far as the rest of our sports, we know we have great schools in the state. And I've always said I want to play state schools. It's important for us. One of the things I always admired about Baylor when I was at TCU is they constantly played Texas Christian U. They're always playing them, and that was great. I think for us to have Houston, TCU, Baylor, Tech, whoever else in the state, and we have Rice, and we have a lot of other schools that we can play within the state, we should play those in non-conference games if our schedule allows. One of the things I got to figure out this first year is we're going to have 18 SEC games. Well, that means I have 9 at home. We got to find and we got 9 on the road. Then you got to come out and figure out your non-conference schedule. It might be more difficult to go home and home. And we're also a national brand. I'm trying to make sure that we bring a Michigan, Ohio State, a USC, Notre Dame, those type of schools into our venues as well. But it's not out of the question. But I think as we acclimate our way through it, we'll see how that works. Does that answer your question on that? Number 2, when that schedule came out and I saw Georgia on that, I was like, God, I don't care about Georgia fans coming. I care about our own fans getting hotel rooms. You know what I mean? It's a crazy weekend, but I am absolutely so pumped for us on that weekend. On a global scale, the University of Texas will be talked about around the world because of F1, because of that game. It is going to be phenomenal. But I've heard from our own fans going, God, how expensive those hotels are going to be. I said, Round Rock, no problem. Come on down. Georgetown, but it is going to be an awesome weekend, and it's exciting. One of the things I'm also looking at is moving our OU game to 2:30 ABC, so that'd be fantastic too.
Thank you, sir. You're doing a wonderful job. Are there plans to have night games in September? It's brutal, and I'll say my mother went to the junior high 65 years ago, and maybe a day to where former students can come back, take some pictures, and just close it out. Thank you.
You know what? That's an awesome suggestion. 65 years ago, your mama went to junior high. That's pretty awesome. And that's a good idea to do something like that. I'll definitely talk to Alan Cole about that as well. I do not like day games. I spent so much money on the drones that we could not use them this year that it drove me crazy. I'd say, Drew goes, oh, another day game. One of the things we know in the Southeastern Conference, they have later windows. One of the things you look at, Fox Sports found a window at Big Noon. And believe it or not, if you're television, the Big Noon is the highest rated games. So they're going to force those games sometimes. So there's 11 o'clock windows in the SEC as well, but they're never Alabama against LSU, Alabama against Texas. Those games will always be later, but I would be disingenuous to tell you there are not going to be some early games. I just don't think we're going to have a steady diet of early games. And unfortunately, in the Big 12, the better you did, the more gay games you got. It was crazy. You know what I mean? Because those are highly televised games. There's one game where they packed us at 11, someone at 2, and someone at the evening. With the ABC and ESPN windows having the lock of the night game windows. Remember, there's really only two TV channels that cover all SEC, ACC, Big 10, Pac-12, Pac-2, everybody in general. So when you had 5 conferences for 2 TV channels, it really created a problem. So you're bunched up and they're trying to find windows. But in the SEC, there's a lot more night game windows. This coming year, you're absolutely correct, but the main platforms are Fox and ESPN. They'll have a one-off game on those brands, but not the proliferation. We have ESPN and ABC. Hate to speculate, sir. I know for the Fox Sports is the main platform on that. It would not surprise me if that was a big noon game. Would not surprise me.
All right, thinking about the student tickets, so when will the window to purchase next year's big ticket and the Longhorn Foundation student membership open up?
April. You'll be getting all that information in April. This obviously is the release of the season ticket renewal, but in April you'll get that.
So I kind of know some of this answer because of volleyball, but volleyball is a perfect example, and some of women's basketball. There are season ticket holders who buy the entire season ticket package, but rarely show up because they live in Manor, they live in Burnett, they're elderly, but they've had tickets for 25 to 30 years, and they're not going to give them up. But they don't want to travel to the games anymore because they're too old to drive. They don't want to drive at night. So it's frustrating to see empty seats right next to you where there could be another Longhorn shouting to generate more noise at Gregory in a volleyball game. I know you're sending out letters. So what are you going to do to encourage those people to sell their tickets a day or two before so that true Longhorn fans who can make the games can populate the seats? And by the way, the UT Junior High, my wife used to work in the engineering department, it's full of lead and asbestos. So it's non-trivial to reuse that building.
Yes, we know it's full of lead and asbestos, and it's going to take us, the demolition of that's going to take us a long time. We know what that building is. Well, you know, one of the things we looked at, it was interesting. I was talking to a great family earlier before we walked into the Roses and talking about the same subject matter. It's one of the things you look at in, with football, it's a lot easier because we knew there's big blocks. We knew people had 30, 40 tickets, and we can say on a one-off family that says, you know, I'm going to come to 4 games and not come to games. It's hard for me to know that, and maybe what we'll do, I'll talk to Corbin this year is to do a scan rate to look at that. I would not know particularly what you're looking at. Every time I walk in, that place is a zoo. It's jam-packed, and we got, I mean, it is what it is, but I have really not taken a deep dive in that regard, who's sitting exactly next to you.
Well, the most coveted are the chairbacks, right, with seats. And so I've had long season tickets with chairbacks, which is nice, but then I look to my left, there's always 4 seats that are empty. Always. And then when you look across, there's always rows of chairbacks that are empty. And you know, if they have chairbacks that close to the rail, they've had season tickets for a very long time, but they don't show up.
So what I will assure you this, I will look at it this year and do a scan rate to have a study. I have not really done that. And I've not asked for that. What I really was more focused on was the 6,000 accounts I had in football, because that was where I knew we could start to look at that.
Chris, my name is Belinda Vasquez. My question is, do you think that we could start the women's clinic again with football, like how we had with Mac Brown and Coach Strong? That was one of my favorite events that I used to attend.
I was waiting to see when the next question was on women's clinic. It's like the number one thing I get. You know, it's interesting. I will address that with Steve. I think one of the things you looked at, it's something that we actually need to do and making a point of doing that. I think when he first got here, we just talked about resurrecting Texas as we know it and really ideal focus on that. And it has not been, we talk about it every year and it just has not been a point of emphasis. But I do think that this coming year, maybe we look at something in early August as part of a spring fall camp, invite people there and do something of that nature, centered around the women's clinic. Those things always make me nervous. I remember one year I was at a women's clinic and they had, the boys were take off their uniform and put it on. That was a mess, right? That didn't work. Not all the way down, by the way. They weren't like, you know, in their skivvies, but I do think that an educational opportunity like that would be great. And I'll talk to L'Oreal, because it's been some of those things we just kind of, we get in the fall, we miss it. And my wife's asked about it about 100 times, because when we go to games, she's a math professor at Rice, and she can do anything with an equation, but she'll ask me what just happened. I'm like, did you just watch the play? Well, I don't even know what's going on. What are you talking about? And then she gets mad at me, and then pretty much we're in a fight, and I go find Drew's husband, Blake, and then we're in good shape. Or she finds Blake. My wife's married to Drew's husband. It's pretty much what happens during games.
Hello, my name's Daniel. I had a follow-up question related to volleyball, actually in softball too, but you mentioned the fan experience with football and the lighting and the drones, and obviously Gregory Gym is older. Is there an option for that type of lighting in Gregory or even at the softball field as well?
One of the things you're looking at, believe it or not, athletics does not own Gregory. That's a rec center gymnasium that we rent out for games. So one of the things we're looking at is, do we look at building a mini Moody for volleyball and other things on campus? That's on the docket that we're working through right now. But the reality, the rec center and that, if Gregory was mine on a permanent basis, it'd be a little bit different. That's actually a rec center, and that's used all day long for rec sports, and we rent it for games. So everyone thinks I have oversight of that, but I don't. So it's one of those things, because you look at that and say, how do we do concessions? We can do so many things differently, but that building is an actual rec building. So we are looking at looking with partners right now and looking at doing between a 5,000 and 6,000 seat arena that we can address volleyball's needs. And the Moody Center has been a huge hit for us. As good as Irwin Center was, you see what happened with the new Moody, and if we could replicate that in a smaller fashion, that's the hope. As far as the lighting and things, you look at that, softball has, they're just as bad as our day games. We have a lot of day baseball and softball games. The lighting that we put in football was about a $2 million expense. And the pomp and circumstance is different around that sport, but it's definitely something that we could look at moving to. I know one school has done baseball already, and I'm going to go see it this year and see how they go about it. I do think our marketing team does an amazing job in volleyball. It's an environment second to none. But we always look to improve on things. Okay, well, yes, sir? Oh, that's awesome. Well, congrats. Your cousin's daughter's going to come on a recruiting trip for golf? Yeah. Oh, congratulations. That'll be awesome. Well, I think one of the things you look at, the bus company was a casualty of COVID. And unfortunately, that was their enterprise. And when COVID hit, they didn't have the economics to stand. Those buses were sold, and I don't have buses on hand to go do that. But that was actually someone's business, and it was an awesome. I mean, what an amazing thing for us, especially because you can go to the big parking lots and bus people in. But I don't have a bunch of buses laying around and do that. I wish I did. But if you'd like to start that business, get about 30 buses. So you asked a question that was loaded and then wanted to see my answer. That's the most ridiculous thing I've seen, but I love that, by the way. And we've worked with Metro to help us, and they do, but they're just not as diligent in terms of going to spots that we had previously. So if you want to talk to your friend back for restart that business, it would be awesome. Okay. Guys, on closing, I just want to thank you all. Thank you all for your support. Those online, for you being here. You guys mean the world to us. You allow us to do something special, and hopefully we make you proud. Hook 'em.